evening and welcome to this episode of Café con Gas. Café con Gas is a show that brings dialogue on healing, arts, and diversity with occasional guests. Today I have a very special guest. I walked into the studio. I recognized Xavien's mom from one of the first days that I came to CCTV. She was very encouraging and she said she's here with her son. So I asked Xavien, who's sitting next to me, hello Xavien.
Hi.
To come onto the show and tell us a little bit why he's here at CCTV, because CCTV is a space for Be Live, but it's also a space for a lot of community work. And I just wanted to have a quick impromptu occasional guest and ask Xavien to introduce himself to the audience and also tell us why you're here at CCTV.
My name is Xavien Pina, and I'm visiting here to take a tour because I want to make videos and be on the radio for
awesome.
Work with them most likely. And when I'm 13, I'm gonna go here take classes.
That's awesome. How old are you now?
10.
10? Wow. So why do you like radio and television? What interests you?
Because when I watch TV, it's encouraging me to go on TV or something.
Are there some things that you watch that you like a lot?
Yes.
Like what?
Creative things like Disney Channel,
cool.
Cartoon Network, kids shows mostly.
Okay, kids shows. Some of the kids shows, oh man, I won't tell you. I mean, I used to watch cartoons when it was original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoons. So can you name us your favorite cartoon?
My favorite cartoon most likely is Nicky Ricky, it's not a cartoon,
yeah,
but it's realistic. Nicky, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn.
Mickey, Ricky, Dickie, that's like a tongue twister. Nicky, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn. Nicky, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn. All right, I'm gonna have to check that out. So I have a question for you. If you could be the star of your own show on the Disney Channel, what would that show be about?
That would be about a kid in his childhood and creatively how he got powers.
Interesting. Well, how would he use his powers?
To save people's life.
To save people's life, to people who need it?
Mm-hmm.
That's really awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing that. I hope that you get to do that when you're 13 and you can start writing about it now. And what else can I ask you? Xavien, so you're on Café con Gas, and is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience?
Not really.
No? All right. Well, look out for Xavien. Go ahead.
I'm 10 years old and I'm in 5th grade.
Oh, okay. So Xavien's 10 years old in 5th grade, and you live in Cambridge?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so Xavien was our special guest for today. Thank you for joining us so quickly. I'll be looking for your show, and I hope you had a good time coming on to Café con Gas.
Yay.
All right. See
Bye.
All right, everybody. So that was Xavien. Again, Café con Gas is a show that brings dialogue alive on healing, arts, and diversity with occasional guests. I wanted to give Xavien an opportunity to come say hi and also to share why he wants to be on television. When I was really young, I watched a lot of TV. I had a lot of mentors, and I also had a similar aspiration. I played a lot with my microphone. I had this fake microphone and a guitar, and I would pretend to perform and dance. I wasn't really in dance classes when I was younger, but it's something that meant a lot to me. So Xavien, we're gonna have to be looking out for him and looking for his show on powers. That's so interesting, finding powers that will save the world. So here we are on Café con Gas, live at Cambridge Community Television. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. I'm so happy that I was able to talk to Xavien from the Cambridge community. I think it's really cool that he's so interested in media and trying to get involved at an early age. So we're live from Cambridge, Massachusetts. We're gonna do our emotional check-in. I always talk about emotional check-ins. Why emotional check-ins? Because I want to normalize the conversation on emotions. It's all right to talk about your feelings. I also watched a lot of PBS, so I love talking about my feelings. So what am I feeling today? I am feeling a lot of feelings. I'm feeling really, really excited. I'm just really excited I got to talk to Xavien. I think that was super cool. I'm feeling ecstatic. And I'm feeling a little bit exhausted, but the blue with the red, I'm good. But yeah, I'm feeling really exhausted. I am really excited to show you something. So this weekend I was at the Adelante conference. It was the first conference at the Harvard Kennedy School, bringing Harvard Latinos across campus. We also, there we go. We also debuted our, oh gosh, the angles are the opposite when I'm looking in the camera. Okay, so we also debuted our new print version of the Harvard Journal of Hispanic Policy. This journal was Dreams Are Stronger Than Fear. And I'm just really excited. This is volume 28, and I am one of the senior digital editors on this staff. The art is by Melanie Cervantes, and I think it's really beautiful because, again, dreams are stronger than fear. So often we have a fear, not necessarily of failing, but also a fear of achieving that dream. And I've really been struggling with that. I talk a lot on the show about post-traumatic stress disorder, how I manage and live it. It's like cancer. It's in remission right now, but I'm at risk, in certain areas. I have triggers. So dreaming for me is really important, and sometimes when I experience success and I'm really happy, I actually my heart rate gets elevated. It starts to beat really fast, and happiness sometimes mimics a panic attack, because when you're having a panic attack, you get shortness of breath, you're really excited, and you just have to tell your brain, kind of rewire your brain into and having a different experience. So that's what's going on. I'm ecstatic that I get to be a part of this journal. I was also very emotional. America Adelante was a conference bringing thought leaders. It was on Latino leadership and public policy, and focused on this increasing demographic. Not many people know, but the increasing demographic of Latinos, unlike the media narrative saying that Latinos are just crossing the border, Latinos are rising in America because 90% of Latinos are beneath the age of 18 and US born Latinos. So on top of undocumented Latinos, there's just so much misinformation, and the conference really focused on that. So the conference was a conversation. It was half public policy, and so it was like half public policy. Sorry, I'm actually trying to bring up a clip for you. Here we go. So it was half, wait, sorry. I'm not gonna say sorry, I shouldn't say sorry. I'm trying to simultaneously talk to you and do this at the same time, and it did not work for me. So anyways, so the conversation was half public policy and then half like talking about the Latino media narrative. And something that was so incredible, there was a executive from HBO, there was Alejandra Campoverde from the LA Times, and Alejandra Campoverde said there are a lot of people telling the Latino narrative and telling stories of Latinos for them, and they're doing it incorrectly. So the conversation really focused around that, and I want to bring up this clip, and I realized the reason why this isn't working is because I had it in view mode. I'm going to bring up this clip for you. It's a clip from Univision, and it's in Spanish, so sometimes I do Spanish and English on the show, but it really shows what this conference was about. I'm going to play this video for you. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to pause it and let it load, and I'm going to show you what America Adelante looked like and talk a little bit more about that, because I'm really excited, and I was extremely humbled to be a part of it. I have worked so hard to get to Harvard. I work full-time so I can afford my education. I get tuition employee benefits. I go to the Harvard Extension School and I'm getting a master's, but I really came to Harvard through the service door. And as a Latina, I have a lot of pride in that. I have no shame in doing that. I work very hard, but I'm very much a non-traditional Latino. And at this conference, there were a lot of Latinos talking about that non-traditional experience. The president of the Harvard Student Association gave her experience of being undocumented, telling her teacher at a young age, and her teacher forced her to sit back in the back of the classroom and said, "I will not teach you anymore," to our executive director, who talked about his experience with his brother being incarcerated and in a gang. So they're really intense stories, and I was very humbled to be a part of this. And I'm gonna play the Univision clip, and I'm really excited because it's in Spanish. So check this out. I'm going to transition, and for those who que no habla español, you'll still get the vibe of what it was like, and I hope you enjoy this clip.
Cambridge, en una de las universidades más prestigiosas del mundo, líderes latinos de distintos sectores se reúnen para mirar hacia el futuro, discutiendo los retos y realidades de nuestra comunidad en los próximos 40 años. América Adelante es el nombre de la conferencia que por 2 días reunió más de 100 personas de todo el país con una misión clara.
Desarrollar el próximo generaciones en efecto de líderes para este país, que son latinos, afroamericanos, que son gente de muchos orígenes.
La conferencia fue creada por el Centro para el Liderazgo Público de la Escuela Kennedy de Harvard. Los grandes beneficiados fueron los estudiantes que compartieron con profesionales sus experiencias y aprendieron algunos requisitos de los líderes del futuro. De estos alumnos, el 70% son hispanos.
Cuando se trata de estudiantes en Harvard, aunque muchos han venido de orígenes muy humildes, ellos mismos, sus familias, ellos son los privilegiados, ¿no? Entonces yo creo que los requerimientos son de reconocer la totalidad de la población americana, pero sobre todo latino, la gente de color, de entender los challenges, de no olvidar de dónde vinieron, de pensar bien en cómo incluir, cómo tratar cuestiones de desarrollo económico, de trabajo, de educación, cómo podemos reparar el sistema de educación pública en este país.
Uno de los temas que se trató fue la carencia de líderes públicos latinos en la actualidad. Y es que según cifras del censo, la comunidad latina es la minoría más grande del país, algo que para panelistas debería verse reflejado en el sector público, empresarial, comunitario, pero sobre todo en el político.
Hemos visto unos candidatos que nos han atacado, que nos han tratado como una bolsa de golpe, pero nosotros no somos indefensos. Podemos usar y tenemos que usar nuestro voto para meter el primer golpe. Y si nosotros hacemos eso, vamos a poder cambiar el ambiente que enfrentamos ahora en este momento.
Esta es la primera conferencia de su tipo que se realiza en la universidad, pero desde ya se piensa en extenderla y repetirla.
Uy, qué profundo. All right, so the translation, she was at the end, the president of the Council de la Raza, one of the biggest, most historical foundations in America on Latino civil rights. She said that there are candidates who, again, the orange clown that I talk about a lot on CCTV, there are candidates who are giving this very hateful rhetoric, but with the Latino vote, podemos hacer el primer golpe. So he's saying with the Latino vote, we can give the first punch. So it's fiery. It's it was an incredible conference. Also talking about how education really needs to happen at an earlier age, and also like the opportunities that need to be given to children to increase their confidence. Another reason why I was happy to have our guest on at the beginning of the show, those little opportunities that you get as a young person could really change the course of your life. I did not know. I was very, very moved by the fact that people were asking me, Cassandra, what do you want to do? I have just arrived. I exited a dysfunctional, violent atmosphere and isolation, also a very loving atmosphere, but it was a very conflicted atmosphere and isolation growing up Puerto Rican in very white suburbs. And now I am simply rediscovering the world. It is that profound. And the conference concluded with the premiere of the Harvard Journal of Hispanic Policy, and I wanted to take a moment to do a close reading. I love reading out loud, and I wanted to take a moment. We have an editor's note. You can go online and get a copy of the journal for $20, and you can also go onto harvardhispanic.org, and you can also read blog, podcast, and video. Oh, we're wiping. Hold on. Okay, 1 second. All right, we were fading away. All right, so I wanted to take a moment to read this out loud. I actually heard this is a response. Henry A.J. Ramos, the founding editor and member of the Executive Advisory Board, gives reflections on the journal's 30th anniversary. The journal is a Harvard Kennedy School publication, but they made a very strategic decision to open up the journal to Latinos across Harvard, which I think shows solidarity and also shows interdisciplinary interdisciplinary approach to solving these problems and also cultivating leaders. As a student at the Extension School, this was a very profound experience. I just not walked onto the journal. I submitted an application to the journal. It meant a lot to me because the Extension School, we are the working class of Harvard. We're mostly professionals and also a lot of employees who also come to work on the journal. So I just want to read this a little bit. And yeah, so I just wanted to read a little bit this out loud to you. All right, so Ramos writes, in the 30 years since the Harvard Journal of Hispanic Policy first appeared, it has accomplished much of what its founding staff members hoped it would. The journal has established itself as a staple product of the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University, a breeding ground for future public and private sector leadership, a trusted reporting source on Latino issues, trends, and opinions related to U.S. policy in all of its multiple aspects. As we witness an upswing in anti-Latino and anti-immigrant sentiment in America, it is vital to note the many important contributions the Harvard Journal of Hispanic Policy has made and will continue to make in the service of advancing the constructive participation of Latinos in American political discourse and policy formation. America can and will only become a stronger nation in the decades to come to the extent that we ensure robust opportunities for the success of all of our people. Whew. All of our people. With the U.S. Latino community slated to comprise more than a quarter of the entire U.S. population by 2045, it is essential that all Americans work together to promote the population's social and economic and political success, lest our entire nation falter. At a time when many contemporary political leaders and pundits show clear antagonism and xenophobia directed at Latino and other ethnic and religious minority groups of Americans, it is especially important to be reminded of the wiser and more informed perspective of true national leaders of our past, like John F. Kennedy. Kennedy's views on the issues were shaped by his own status as the grandson of Irish Catholic immigrants in times when to be Irish and Catholic was akin to being a Latino in America today. In his seminal work, A Nation of Immigrants, President Kennedy, the Harvard Kennedy School's namesake, wrote over 50 years ago in 1963, today, many of our newcomers are from Mexico and other Latin American nations who often receive the same discriminatory treatment and opprobrium, I'm gonna have to Google that word later, that were faced by other waves of past newcomers. The same things are said today of Puerto Ricans and Mexicans that were once said of Irish, Italians, Germans, and Jews. They'll never adjust. They cannot learn. They won't be absorbed. Perhaps the brightest hope for the future lies in the lessons of the past. As each wave of immigration has reached America, it has been faced with problems. Not only the problems that come with making new homes and learning new jobs, but more important, the problems of getting along with people of different backgrounds and habits. Somehow the difficult adjustments are made and people get down to the task of earning a living, raising a family, living with their neighbors, and in the process building a nation. And so it is with today's largely immigrant population, end quote. And so it is with today's largely immigrant populations across the United States. With the passage of time, the Latino people of America are slowly but surely gaining the skills, the standing, and the sophistication to effectively advance both of their own self-interests as well as the interests of our nation. The Harvard Journal of Hispanic Policy continues to play a vital role in this epic historical evolution in American civic culture. May it continue to do so for at least another 30 years. Henry A.J. Ramos, founding editor and member, Executive Advisory Board. The quote is from John F. Kennedy's A Nation of Immigrants, Harper Row, New York, 1964, page 63. I wanted to also include that footnote just for Harvard's sake. The journal took a leap and opened up their staff to Latinos across Harvard and also a bigger editorial staff, and I was privileged to join, be accepted, and one of those one of the qualifications I had was my work here on CCTV and doing public access, doing a grassroots effort, because I do not see people like me on television. I do not see people and leaders always openly talking about the depression, the anxiety, the mental health issues, largely in part because there was incredible stigma. But those things are changing, as with trans activism, Black Lives Matter. There are multiple movements where people are coming together. I was very humbled because when I first came to Harvard, I was a temp. And I came in a snowstorm in January. I had been in a car accident about 3.5 months prior. And about 3.5 months prior, and that car accident triggered some traumatic memories from my past and accelerated a healing process where I went to a domestic violence advocate and really engaged in healing. I knew that I had to enter the workforce. I graduated in the recession 2007, and I knew that I wanted to pursue my master's. So Harvard was the place to go. When I interviewed with the temp agency, they asked me, where do you want to go? And I said, I want to work at the Harvard Kennedy School. I wanted to be as close to the words that my mother gave me while she was enduring violence. And she always instilled me with his language and the hope for immigrants and a hope for the future. So 6 years later, to be at the Harvard Kennedy School as a graduate student in this conference was a very profound experience. One of the first things that I did when I got my job at Harvard was contact the Massachusetts Department of Transitional Assistance and tell them I no longer needed food stamps. To be there in that space and to have a seat at that table that I had earned by my intelligence and also by virtue of really committing to my recovering my brain from trauma and rewiring my brain so that I could use my intellect and I could also come out of the shadows of trauma, the shadows of the aftermaths of violence, was a very profound experience for me. And it was well deserved. And now part of my recovery and experience with post-traumatic stress is learning how to celebrate me, knowing that I am enough, knowing that I am worthy, and not being afraid of failures and trying. And being honest with people when they ask me, where do you want to go and what do you want to do? Telling them that I am just getting started because I just arrived. And that, my friends, is what I did in my emotional check-in. I am simply buzzing, and I also have the very interesting task, and I wanted to share this resource with you and also pull up another really awesome picture. I had this really, really interesting task. Afterwards, I made all these connections and I was having conversations, and sometimes you network and you're drawn to a person. Sometimes you go because they're in a similar field as you, and so you're like, I gotta go talk to you. But I had to work on my ask, and I've talked about this before, and I've showed Amanda Palmer's The Art of Asking. It's a really great book and also a TED talk, and she talked about her experience as a busker, beginning in Harvard Square actually, and the practice where she dressed up as a bride and gave out flowers, and then she did meditations on love and connection, and it was just a really powerful book. But I've been reading it because it's written in very colloquial language versus Harvard Business School's the negotiation project books, Difficult Conversations, which I love, but it's really simple, The Art of Asking. So I kind of just came into a different place, and I had to realize I need to know what to ask, but I also had this very authentic moment to share with people. I'm just arriving, so the best thing you can do for me and then what I need is tell me what's possible. Recognize what I'm good at, and let's keep those relationships open. So my friend Marwa, who helps to upload these videos and also was an editor for the East Asia Institute and is doing a lot for the Muslim community by changing her life, first asked me, she's like, how do you network? What do you do for networking? So I came up with a couple tips, and recently I've been really excited about doing some top 10 stuff. So I would say my top 10 tips for networking is, 1, you're going to engage in the conversation. Don't be afraid. And if it goes awkwardly, know that you had it and just keep going. So that's 1. Number 2, follow up with people A great way to, if you're not in the city that this person is in, a great way to do that is send articles of interest. So say, for example, oh, this reminded me of our conversation. Let's follow up this way. If you're being starstruck, respectfully ask for a picture, but I was advised that selfies are a little past tense. So you want to do that, and just make those connections. And you never know who knows someone else. I got this really great piece of advice. It's kind of like off the cuff mentoring, and someone was telling me, look for the patterns in my life, and I was asking him how he got to his position of leadership, and he got it because he had made this connection, and then years later there was an opening at the organization he worked at, and they asked him to join. So you just never know, never know what's happening. So I wanted to pull up one more picture and also share with you something really exciting. So I had a change of residence. Cambridge got expensive. One of the issues that I talk about public policy, is raising housing prices. I had the opportunity, as part of the conference, to ask Congressman Joaquin Castro a question, and the language that I used was, it's great that we're preparing Latinos for the future, but how can we repair the damage that has been done, particularly with housing? So I got priced out of Cambridge. I moved over the border to Somerville, started getting involved with the community there, and I'm happy to report that I've taken some leadership there and doing some anti-violence work. So today would have been my last show at CCTV, but it's not. I'm going to be continuing on CCTV because I will also be becoming a contributor. I like that. Contributor to neighborhood media, and I'm really excited about that. My plans for neighborhood media, I want to make some lifestyle contributions. Really just get the pulse of Cambridge. I work and spend all this time here. I work full time, and I also go to school part time. So I'm really in the Cambridge community all the time. But I've also taken the time to talk about my story and use my experience with violence to attend weekly meetings and get into some anti-violence work. So that's really meaningful work to me. Some also finding ways to engage the community, because a lot of the organizations such as Respond and a lot of first responder organizations, they share resources between Somerville and Cambridge, so they're split together. So the work is being done there. So we have about 45 seconds left, and I can't believe this is going this fast. I'm just so excited to continue this journey with you on Cambridge Community Television. So thankful there's this resource, and things as simple as the training video that I watched 2.5 years ago talking about the history of free speech. It's in our Constitution. It's up to us to exercise our rights to free speech, and to do so give it without inciting violence, as some candidates have done, and also to take care of ourselves.